So let me ask you something. What if your assistant could not only answer questions but also book a ticket, calculate your taxes, and query your company databases? Sounds like a science fiction. Well, it's not. Welcome to the world of LLMs using tools. In this module, we go beyond just text generation. We'll see how LLMs can call functions, use calculators, and also perform searches. Basically, how they become a true digital assistant. So, by default, language models like GPT or Llama are just a simple text predictor, which means they generate responses based on the training data. But they don't really know the live world, which means, you know, they can't fetch real time data, they can't do mathematics, and surely they can't interact with your system. And that's a limitation. Well, what's the solution? The solution to this particular problem is basically a external tool that you can plug in, just like your, a USB device that you plug in to have some extra functionality on your computer. Think this like a student during an exam without a calculator or books. Well, you just rely upon only on your memory that, hey, I mugged up this topic and I'm just going to go across and write it down for you. But if I give you tools like a calculator, a dictionary, or even a laptop, and suddenly you can do even more complex and accurate work during the examination. Well, the same thing basically goes with an LLM. By enabling tool, what we are basically giving the LLM is the power to reason about the problem, to decide which tool, you know, to which tool to use based upon your requirement. Also, to call that specific tool via an API or a function, and finally use the result to complete the task. Well, let's make it even more, real, which is like, how does these tool look like? Tools are like small software function which you basically expose to the LLM. For example, like a calculator, which you can use, right, for doing any sort of the arithmetic calculations, or I can use some search option to fetch some web query results. You can use databases, right, to fetch records from your internal system. You can use inventory checker, right, to fetch quantity of your product in stock, or even you can go ahead and use calendar to basically, book a meeting or a slot. So, what is this, function calling? Well, actually, OpenAI basically introduced this concept called as the function calling. Function calling. So, what is this function calling in general? Well, function calling is like saying a model, hey GPT, here's a function which calculates an EMI. Now, if a user asks anything about loans, call this. Now, if the user says, hey, what's the EMI, right, on 15 lakh, right, for 5 years at 8% interest, right? Something like this. Then the model will think, this is a finance task. So I need to basically call a function with these specific input, get the result, format the answer for the user, and it's like giving ChatGPT a calculator inside its brain. So, how do we basically create these agents? And this is basically the foundation of an agent. Well, this tool usually have the ability to what we call as agents, and power agents. So agents are like an AI employee. They just don't reply, they complete tasks, call APIs, run tools for you, and even reason in loops. And this is how a system looks like. You have a LangChain agent, you have a React, based planner, right? And you have an auto GPT, right? Which actually works under the hood. And it all began by letting the model use the tools. So what's the real life, use cases to it? Well, let's try to make it practical. Let's try to make it practical. And in the real life world, you can actually have a full on a customer support whose responsibility is basically an AI queries, order status, using your databases, you connect your databases and it will basically try to, solve all these, databases. It take bot, right, which will ask the learner asks for MCQ and it fetches the AI from the curriculum, the API, and create the bot, MCQs for you. A finance app, right, which can ask the SIP returns, and AI basically use a simple SIP calculator to return it for you, or probably a weather bot, right, which is like an AI call, a live weather, weather based on user location, and then it fetches a weather and show it to you. So in short, if you ask GPT, hey, what is the weather at France? The GPT won't be able to give you the direct answer because GPT does not know the current weather of the France because GPT has been trained with the past data. But if you give these power of the tool, then GPT will probably use this tool, which is like a weather API. It will fetch the weather of the France and give it to you, saying that hey, see, this is basically the weather of the France altogether. So in this video, we basically explored why LLMs need tools, what tools usage looks like, and how function calling powers smarter AI, and some of the real world, cases that we actually have. In the upcoming video, we'll see more about an OpenAI function calling in detail, and also we'll go ahead and design some of the use cases around it. So keep this up and stay with us in order for future courses as well.